Are you full of good intentions about creating more fair, inclusive, and equitable teams, organizations, and the world? Are you deeply committed and deeply knowledgeable about inclusion, belonging, and equity, yet still find yourself hesitant, fearful, with self-doubt, and second-guessing yourself? Do you even find yourself silent at times when your leadership for equity is needed most? You're not alone. If you'd like to be free from that feeling of, oh no, here we go again, we can help you. Today, I want to talk about equity leadership traumas and 3 steps to healing from them. This idea emerged from our Evolve Your Leadership Voice program that Brian Arau, Don Lee, and I co-facilitate. And this emerged from the participants. It is something they brought up and they all ended up bringing up, which was this equity leadership traumas. And equity leadership traumas are past experiences around equity leadership that went really bad, that feel present in our future. That when someone brings something to us as a leader around equity, or something we observe in our teams, or something from the outside world that we feel we need to respond to as a leader, those past experiences feel very present. And they lead us to that second guessing and hesitancy, despite decades of experience we have, lots of knowledge, degrees, books we've read, trainings we've been to. That'll kind of escapes us in that moment. And these equity leadership traumas might be times when we've really messed up and made mistakes and caused harm despite the best of our intentions. And we really don't want that to happen again. Or it might be a time when we feel like we've done everything right and we're actually quite proud of our equity leadership, but it didn't go well and the outcome maybe was harm, or the outcome was harm done to us because of our equity leadership. We've heard people who had media go after them, or particular groups challenge their leadership and try and get them removed from their roles. We've even had folks who've had themselves and their families threatened with violence. And those are really difficult experiences, and they become equity leadership traumas when they're not just past experiences, but they are present with us, interfering with our ability to lead in this moment. There are 3 steps to healing from these equity leadership traumas that emerge from our work with our participants in Evolve. Brian Rao helped us come up with the 3 R's for these 3 steps. They are recognize, reconcile, and revisit. To recognize, we want to name it specifically, explicitly. We want to notice its impact on us, and we want to notice how we're experiencing it. So there might be an equity issue that comes up and calls our leadership forward, and we might say, oh, this is that experience from 2019 that is here with me. So being able to name it specifically, what it was, when it was, and maybe picture that moment can really help us engage with it with awareness and mindfulness. You might notice how it feels in your body. Armpits get sweaty, shoulders get tense, a feeling in your belly, your throat gets tight. All of these might be signals of an equity leadership trauma. You might notice the feelings and emotions that come up for you around it. You might notice the thoughts, or maybe the lack of thoughts, or maybe the racing of thoughts that arise when this comes up for you. And the goal here is to recognize it as specifically and explicitly as we possibly can to ourselves, so that we can engage with it with awareness and agency, rather than have this be something that happens to us again and again. The second step is to reconcile. And here's where we really want to process and explore this past experience and separate the learning from the bad experience. The learning is what we want to hang on to and move forward with, and the bad experience is what we want to let go because it not only is not useful, but it is an obstacle to our leadership. So just because something is a terrible, awful, horrible experience doesn't mean there isn't valuable learning from it. And really processing through can help us do that. And oftentimes the reason why it's still with us is we haven't harvested the learning and noticed what we can let go of. So I might think back to that experience from 2019 that I have a lot of regret and guilt and shame about. I might go back and revisit it and reconcile with it and say, the real learning was that was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to say. It was not the right time or place. And because it wasn't the right time or place, I was defensive. And my defensiveness did not serve me. It did not serve the situation. It did not serve the people I was talking to. And so noticing and managing my defensiveness is a really useful learning. And also the time and place is a really important thing. And if I had slowed down in that moment, rather than feeling rushed and that sense of urgency, I would have made better choices from a place of consciousness and awareness and agency. So that's some of the learning that I kind of take from this bad experience. Some of the things I want to let go of are the particular people and the terrible things they said to me, or the implications of it, and recognize that there was things going on for them, things about their identity, things about my identity, things about the context and the situation, things about where the world was at that time. And those things aren't going to be useful to my leadership and fostering greater equity and inclusion going forward. So those things I want to let go of. These things I want to hang on to and bring as part of my experience and my journey and my toolkit. And these are things that I want to let go of. Once you've harvested the learning, the rest is easier to let go of. And the third step is revisiting. You can revisit in your imagination, through writing, or maybe through a conversation. You might even draw it out. But revisiting the situation as detailed as you possibly can. And revisit it with your new capacity, with the skills of time and perspective, what you've learned in hindsight in talking with the people involved and what's been going on since then. You might have new learnings to bring. A lot of our Evolve participants were bringing the new learnings from that program and saying, now that I have these tools and these capacities and these inner resources, I would really engage with it differently. And here's what I would do. And that's the revisiting. New skills, a new capacity. And how would you do it differently? And don't just think, how would I do it differently? Relive the experience as much as you can. Go back and embody yourself doing that, or write out exactly what you would say, or role play it with a therapist or a coach or a mentor. The more we can revisit it, it's part of the healing process. It's what can really shift that to being a valuable, useful part of our past rather than an obstacle to our present. So these equity leadership traumas emerged from our Evolve Your Leadership Voice program that Brian Arau, Don Lee, and I helped co-facilitate. And the 3 R's to process and heal from these equity leadership traumas are recognize, reconcile, and revisit. Evolve helps senior leaders take their leadership voice to the next level for transformative leadership. We have 2 programs, Evolve for senior leaders and Evolve for senior leadership teams. Evolve for senior leaders is for individual leaders. It's a 3-month online program that includes asynchronous video content, 6 individual coaching sessions, and 6 group coaching sessions. We'll launch 3 to 4 new cohorts every year, and if you'd like to be a part of it, reach out. We'd love to get you connected. We also have Evolve for senior leadership teams. This is the same content, but it's done for senior leadership teams. You might have a team of 8 to 14 to 15 to 20. And then when we do Evolve with senior leadership teams, we do both in person with your team on site and also online components to maximize the learning and the impact for your leadership teams. But other than that, it's the same content that we walk through with you. If healing from your equity leadership traumas is something you're interested in, if you're ready to release fear, gain courage, and take transformative action, let's connect about our Evolve program, and we'll talk to you soon. Good luck.